The argument started, as so many do, with a single careless word. Tension had been simmering for weeks, maybe months, beneath the surface of their conversations. As they often did, it was over something small, a missed dinner, a forgotten promise, but it quickly spiraled into something much bigger. Leo wanted to use his college fund to launch a lifestyle brand, pouring his creativity and ambition into something he could call his own. His father, who had built his business from nothing but grit and long nights, saw only risk and uncertainty in Leo's dream. "It's my money, Dad! My inheritance!" Leo shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. The room fell silent, thick with hurt and misunderstanding. Leo stormed to his room, packing a bag with trembling hands, his laptop, his designer clothes, the essentials for a new beginning. At the door, his father pressed a bank card into his palm. "This is your share. I pray you use it wisely," he said, voice heavy with worry and love. Leo left, slamming the door behind him. A chapter closed, a new one begun. The sound echoed through the apartment, marking the end of childhood and the start of something unknown. On the street, adrenaline still rushing, he messaged his friends, announcing his freedom and newfound wealth, eager to share his bold move. He felt untethered, as if the weight of expectations had finally lifted. For the first time, he was convinced happiness was just a swipe away. The city lights beckoned, promising adventure and possibility. Leo didn't look back, determined to write his own story. The sting of his father's words faded, replaced by the thrill of freedom and the unknown. Every step felt like a declaration of independence. He was finally in control, ready to make his own rules, to chase dreams on his own terms. With every swipe and every step, Leo believed happiness was just around the corner, waiting for him in the city's endless glow. Freedom tasted like champagne and late-night tacos, a rush of excitement that made every night feel like a celebration. The city pulsed with energy, and Leo felt like he was finally living the dream he'd always imagined. Leo rented a penthouse, his social media exploding with stories of rooftop parties and spontaneous road trips. Every post was a highlight reel, a carefully curated glimpse into a life that seemed perfect from the outside. He became Leo the legend, always picking up the tab, always surrounded by friends who cheered his name. People gravitated toward his energy, eager to be part of his world, and he loved the attention, at first. His lifestyle brand launched, promising followers a taste of the good life. But behind the scenes, it was more show than substance, a glossy image that masked the truth. Money flowed, friends cheered, and every day was a new post, a new story to share. The likes and comments rolled in, fueling the illusion that everything was perfect. But in the quiet moments, when the music faded and the crowds disappeared, emptiness crept in. The silence was deafening, the laughter faded, and the city lights that once dazzled now felt cold and distant, casting long shadows across his empty rooms. He scrolled through photos of a life that felt less and less like his own, searching for meaning in memories that already seemed to blur. The more he spent, the lonelier he became, surrounded by things but starved for connection. His friends loved the legend, the persona he'd created, but not the real Leo beneath the surface. He was the life of a party he no longer enjoyed, a guest in his own story, wondering if anyone would notice if he simply disappeared. The fall was fast. The brand failed, bills piled up, and his bank account dwindled. When the money ran out, so did the friends. Calls went unanswered, invitations stopped. Evicted, Leo sold his things to pay off debts, then lived in his car. The online persona vanished. Leo was invisible. Hunger and shame became his companions. He wandered the city, avoiding places he once ruled. At night, he remembered home, his father's cooking, their laughter. He scrolled through old photos, tears falling as he realized what he'd lost. He had traded real love for fake friends. He had lost everything. Alone, Leo finally understood the cost. Going back was the hardest choice. Pride told him to stay away, but desperation grew. A church sign read, "You're never too far gone." The words stuck. He remembered his father's steady love, not as a cage, but as a gift. With his last money, Leo bought a bus ticket home. The journey was quiet, each mile heavy with regret. He rehearsed apologies, fearing rejection. The walk to his old apartment felt endless. He was thin, dirty, and broken. At the door, he hesitated, hope and fear wrestling inside. But something pulled him forward. a flicker of hope that love forgives. He stepped toward home, not knowing what waited. Every night, Leo's father waited by the window, his heart heavy with hope and worry, longing for the sound of his son's footsteps. The city lights flickered outside, but inside the apartment was filled with silence and memories. Each evening, he replayed moments from Leo's childhood, wondering where things had gone wrong and praying for a second chance. One evening, he finally saw Leo, thinner, shoulders slumped, his steps uncertain, but unmistakably his son. The sight sent a surge of relief through him, mixed with fear of what might come next. In that instant, all anger and disappointment melted away, replaced by a deep, overwhelming compassion. The years of waiting faded, and only love remained. Before Leo could even reach the door, his father rushed out, arms wide open, unable to contain his joy and relief. He wanted Leo to know he was always welcome. Leo hesitated, bracing himself for judgment or harsh words, but instead, he was met with a warm, unconditional embrace. "You're home," his father whispered, holding him tight, as if to make up for all the lost time. Overcome with emotion, Leo broke down, sobbing out apologies he'd rehearsed 100 times but never thought he'd say. "None of it matters. You are what matters," his father said softly, reassuring him that love was greater than any mistake. In that moment, Leo realized he'd been running not from anger, but from a love so real it scared him. Now he finally let himself accept it. This is a story of a love that doesn't keep score, a love that waits, forgives, and welcomes us home no matter what. No matter how far we wander or how long we're gone, there's a love waiting for us, a love that never gives up hope. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. Luke 15:20.